Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. We're on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. The main talking points on tonight's programme: can Hibs and St Johnstone do to Aberdeen and Rangers what nobody else has managed to do domestically? And that's try and get a win. We'll look back at the weekend's fixtures across all the leagues in Scotland. We'll look ahead to the 8 League Cup ties. And we'll also ask, can Celtic convince Carlton Cole to swap the bright lights of London for the city of Glasgow? It's a packed show. Alan Rough is alongside me, Peter Martin, and Gordon Smith is our boot-room guest. So let's cut to the chase first of all. It was an interesting weekend yesterday. Again, I'm so glad we didn't put any money on it, guys, because wow, Aberdeen came out of the traps flying. Half-time, that game was dead and buried, Ruffy.
Yep, and I have to say the people that we were talking about on Saturday, Niall McGinn, was absolutely fantastic. I think everybody was caught by surprise with the Good Willie introduction, but again, he had something to prove and certainly came up with the goods.
I mean, the goals, and McGinn's goal, one of them in particular, was absolutely out of the top drawer, Gordon Smith.
I thought it was tremendous. The only thing I would add to it was, though, it was shocking defending. You know, if I was actually the manager of Hearts, Robbie Neilson, in that case, I would be asking a lot of questions, because as that ball, if you watch it and watch the replays, the ball's played long. Niall McGinn does brilliantly, races it, but there's no one else goes out to cover. So it's a 1v1 situation right away. He beats his man easily. The rest of the players are still not going out to make sure he stays away from goal. And then one little shimmy, and he goes past Patterson as well, and he's through and he fires it in. Albeit you got to give McGinn so much credit, because it was a fantastic finish, but it was shocking defending. Yeah,
I'd take it any day of the week, Ruffy. A nutmeg, a shimmy, and then into the roof of the net.
It's great skill, you know. We know he's got that in his locker. There's no doubt about that. But again, I agree with Gordon. When you've got somebody like that out wide, you've got to hold them up. You know, there's no need to dive in initially, and it was poor defending. Again, you know, Hearts look as if they're on the back foot just now. They were oozing of confidence early on in the season, but that's defeats in a row now, and with Celtic coming up, it's a big ask for them.
Yeah, they've got Killie in the League Cup and Celtic on the horizon too. Robbie Neilson mentioned that he really hopes that Magara Gomez can get them back to winning ways. Has he been a miss in the middle for you, Gordon?
I think so, yeah. I think he's a player that's required. It gives him that sort of degree of strength, and he's a strong character in there, and he plays, you know, as I say, plays a very, he's more or less just a playmaker sort of thing in terms of getting it on the ball, keep passing it. But I felt Hearts were also poor. Do you know where I thought, Peter, they let themselves down? The final ball as well, when they got near the box. I mean, second half was a better performance. Maybe you'd have to say the game was already won by Aberdeen at that stage. Aberdeen came out the traps, played really well. What they did was they closed Hearts down, and they won the ball off Hearts an awful lot of times. But you have to say that Hearts are disappointing. I mean, I know they're in a little bad run at the moment, when you consider the fact that, you know, they had started the season so well, but Aberdeen in the first half were a better team, despite the fact I'm saying that the goals were preventable. But in the second half it was a bit better performance. But even at that, I never thought even though they had a lot more possession, I think at one stage it showed they had about 73 or 74% possession, but they just didn't create enough chances. And I think that's Hearts have fallen away on both sides. Both defensively they weren't good, and in the final third they let themselves down as well.
Yeah, the Aberdeen fans might be going through the roof, Ruffy, as far as the excitement's concerned. Derek McKinnon is still trying to keep a lid on things. That's 8 wins out of 8. If they win 9 out of 9 in the Premiership in the top flight, that's the best since the post-World War I results. I mean, we're really going back to get the stats together for this one. But over and above that, you know, you've got to celebrate the fact that, you know, Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Barcelona, Aberdeen in the top flight, all with unbeaten records. Rangers, of course, in the Championship as well.
Yeah, then you wouldn't bet against them, Inverness, there's no doubt about that. You know, the confidence will be high. I see they've already asked for another 500 tickets, you know, so there's going to be a fair contingent of Aberdeen supporters going to that game, and it'll be a great atmosphere again. And when you get on an easy run, a good run like that, you know, it's very difficult to knock them off, because you then start getting the wee breaks that are going about, and they all go your way, and I can't see anybody in the next 2 or 3 weeks stopping them anyway.
Well, I'll pick up on that then. So Hibs are going to lose in midweek?
Yeah, I think Aberdeen are on a roll just now. I think it depends if he tinkers with his team. You know, this is sometimes when you see some managers putting out guys who are not getting a game, but even the guys that are on the bench, are very good players with bags of experience. So yeah, I think Hibs will be up against it.
I think he will make changes because he did, even for the Wednesday game against Hamilton Accies, the previous Tuesday I should say, he made changes there. He said he rested 2 or 3. So I think once again he'll do that for the Hibs game, and he'll still feel, because they're a division above them, and these players are top class players that are on the bench. I mean, some of them are international players. I think he'll still feel, even if he tinkers with his team and changes it about, he can still put a winning team out.
Yeah, okay. One other game yesterday, I didn't again anticipate this league's confounding us all. 6-0, not good enough for Paul Hartley. Certainly not happy with the performance. But as far as Celtic are concerned, they demolished Dundee, and you can tell it was a demolition because even Sifsey scored, Ruffy.
Yeah, and you can see the relief in his face when you go to a big club like that. You want to go on the score sheet pretty soon. The previous centre forwards that have been there never recovered from it, and have been moved on. So yeah, getting your first goal, you can see the relief in his face, and it looks as if he'd always wanted to wear the jersey. He scored that goal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a modern day thing now when you get the goal. It was a long time coming for him. Just a quick word, Ruffy, for Griffiths. Again, another goal, consecutive goals, 6 I think it is now.
Yeah, we spoke about it, about being the top goal scorer at the end of the season. And if you look at that game, he must have had, 6 chances?
Yeah, he could have had a hat-trick.
6 chances easily.
Should have had a hat-trick. So should Zagiri right now.
Yeah,
he should have had a hat-trick.
He took his goal very well, but I mean, that's what we're talking about. When you get into a Celtic team like that and coming up against a team, and in all fairness to Paul Hartley, as I said at the weekend there, he wouldn't park the bus, and he tried to come out and entertain. Okay, he was on the end of it. He might have to rethink the next time, try and be a wee bit more solid at the back, but no. You can't take anything away from them. 6 goals.
I was trying to think of the last left back to score a hat-trick, guys, just as it came into my head there. I'm not sure I could come up with a name. I'm sure somebody will. At Peter and Ruffy, and also facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy if you can come up with a fullback who's managed to get a hat-trick. But the penalty from Izagiri was well wide of the mark. So a 6-0 win for Celtic. They face Raith Rovers. Let's have a look at the Premiership results from the weekend. And as far as the Saturday goes, the Accies edged it in the Lanarkshire Derby. It was an outrageous winner from Rory McKenzie on the right hand side. Took a little nick off Brian Easton, deceived the goalkeeper to give Kelly another win. Ross County edged it against your boys Partick Thistle, Ruffy, and I think Jackie McNamara, the word, was frustrated at the manner of the equaliser from Inverness at the end. But I still am worried. I think Alan Archibald mentioned, Ruffy, that Thistle need a bit of quality in their overall play. It's not there. No,
it's not there. And as I said there, when you're like Aberdeen and everything's going well for you, you get the breaks. And when everything isn't going well for you, you don't get them. And again, Partick Thistle at the weekend there had chances, not to win the game, but to take something out of the game. But nothing's going for them at all. Nothing at all. And unfortunately, the goalkeeper in the other goal was the ex-Thistle goalie who had a couple of good quality saves. But they just need to get a break. And get the confidence back.
Let's have a look at the Premiership table as it stands. Aberdeen still out there in front. Hearts just behind Celtic, 4 points further back. But at the bottom there, you still think there's time. Ruffy, there's a long way to go in the season, I know, but do you still think there's time with the squad that he has at his disposal to turn things around?
Yeah, I think the first thing you'll look at is he hasn't really been turned over by anybody. They've lost, I think it's 5 games with the odd goal, and certainly in some of these games they'll be looking at the game and saying, look, we could have taken something out of that game, but they really need to win games, there's no doubt about it, because there's nothing worse than being at a team when you're on a run like that. The training from Monday to Friday is always a bit of a downer, usually people are coming into the dressing room with a wee bit of bounce, but people's heads will be down, so that's when you need characters to sort of lift them.
Just before we get into the break and before we talk about the Championship results from the weekend, Gordon Carlton cold training at Celtic this week with a view to a move. He's not back, apparently, a move to the MLS. He's only 31 years of age. Now, that is a clear indication from Celtic's point of view that they know they've got a battle in their hands, surely.
Oh, I think so. I mean, the big problem will be for Celtic would be they'll try and encourage him because he's got a chance of being a trophy winner, and Celtic will do that, and he's got a chance of playing in European football, which you go to the States, you're just cutting yourself off a little bit from that. But the big problem Celtic might have is the financial one, in terms of the kind of money he's been on when he left West Ham and the money that he were looking for now. It could be out of Celtic's reach.
I mean, again, we expected Celtic to do that maybe in January, so this clearly is someone they're looking for, Ruffy, just to boost the firepower.
Yeah, well, I always think all good sides need 4 strikers. As far as I'm concerned, Celtic have just got 2 just now. I wouldn't count Stokes in that at all. So they really need somebody else to come in.
OK, coming up after the break, we're going to talk Championship. We'll look in detail at the League Cup this week as well. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Football Show. You can join us Monday to Friday at 6:30 on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow, and let's not forget, you can catch that repeat at 10:30 if you're not in control of the TV control earlier on in the evening. And on a Saturday we're on 2 till 6, and on Saturday we were talking about Rangers, whether they could get 11 in a row. They managed it, and of course Waghorn stepped up with yet another penalty, Ruffy, and a second goal just to put the tin lid on it for Rangers.
Yeah, it was a difficult one to assess. You know, I think Rangers were well on top. They had lots of chances. The goalkeeper had lots of saves. All credit to Dumbarton. You know, you wouldn't have thought they'd have been able to hang on in there. And certainly, I think they probably wanted a 4 or 5-0 win to go into the St Johnstone game. But I don't think the result meant they played particularly badly. It was just one of these games that the goals wouldn't go in. So they'll go into the game in midweek with still that bit of confidence, particularly being at home with their own supporters there in numbers.
Just a word, Gordon, on the Rangers striker. He's got 11 goals in 11 games. He really has just settled in quickly and nicely into the side. Yeah,
he's a decent player. As I say, I don't think his goal scoring is not outstanding in terms of his record. Having said that, you know, he got 11 goals in 11 games is good. 6 of them penalties, obviously. But his other goal on Saturday was a very good one. A great strike from distance, and he did turn the game about for Rangers, no doubt about that. So they'll be looking to see what he does. But I think, you know, we're talking about it, Peter, the St Johnstone game tomorrow night. You got to look at that and say this is the test for Rangers. I think that there's no doubt they've been on a great run, and the performances have been terrific. Maybe in the last 2, there's been questioned, especially the Wraith Rovers game. The manager had a go at the players, and there's a few people watching the game on Saturday said Rangers were not at their best. So what they're thinking is, are they waiting just to raise it again when they play against a Premier League team? But this will be a good test for them, because St Johnstone got beaten on Saturday, but they'll have McLean back in tomorrow night, and it'll be a good test for Rangers. Well, interestingly enough, the Rangers manager, Mark Warburton, Ruffy, has said that the gulf is not as big as everybody's making out for this match between a Championship side and a Premiership outfit.
Oh, time will tell on that one. There's no doubt about that. It's very difficult to assess it until you actually see it. You know, there's no doubt about it. Rangers have got a good squad there. They've got obviously the lone players who look particularly quality. They're winning games. They've got a lot of confidence. But St Johnstone have got a wee bit of pace on their side, and I don't think Rangers will have come up against the kind of pace that they've got and the players that they've got. So it will be an interesting one. But the thing about it is, if Rangers did lose the game, they're not going to say, right, that's the season out the window. This is just a wee taster of what it's going to be like when they get there.
If anything, it's a measure, Ruffy, of what they need to do to strengthen.
Yeah, that is. But I mean, if they win the game, I'm sure they'll enjoy it, and there's no doubt about it. And everybody will start saying, as you're saying just now, oh, well, there isn't a gulf at all. No. But if it was to go the other way and St Johnstone won, I don't think anybody would be making a meal of it. It's a test
to see whether Rangers have improved. They've got a different set of players. Don't forget, they played against 3 Premier League opposition teams in cups last year and won their 3 games. They were all at Ibrox, but they beat St Johnstone, they beat Kilmarnock, and they beat Inverness. Yeah. So this is a lot of people would say, well, that was a poor team, and this team's getting a lot of credit. But we need to see where this team are, because we don't know whether yet that it's because the standard isn't as good as the Premier League, or is it as good? And Rangers will show that in the game tomorrow night. That's why it's an interesting one.
Rangers got the win at the weekend at Dumbarton. Let's have a look at the other results from the Championship. Ruffy, Liam Henderson again proving to be a shrewd signing by Alan Stubbs. They got a 1-0 win at Livingston.
Yeah, it certainly is. You know, and it's always good when you're in a team when the strikers aren't scoring for the midfield to be up far enough to support and get goals. I'm surprised I haven't heard the wee boy McGinn's name being mentioned more. You know, I thought maybe he's taking time to settle. So when he does settle, I think he'll be another addition. But yeah, Liam Henderson is a super player.
It'll be a good test for Hibs as well. When you consider that they've got Aberdeen on Wednesday night to see how they feel, because they're playing against the form team in the Premier Division. So it'll be interesting to see how they cope with that.
Yeah, well, there's no point in really turning up because Ruffy's written them off already. Aberdeen are going to get the win. You heard it here. That's what he said. Let's look at that Championship table, Ruffy, and see what you make of it. I don't think we actually anticipated Falkirk slipping up against Alloa, but suddenly Hibs are starting to move in the right direction. They've played a game less than Rangers.
Yeah, I think the two teams are the surprise for me are Morton, who have done particularly well, getting the 10 points. I'm sure Jim Duffy will be more than happy with that. But St Mirren, for me, is the team that is a disappointment team of the season so far. And again, another late goal lost there last Friday night. So they've got the work cut out to get back in there with the title run.
Yep, absolutely. So, what about the other results from League One? There's League One for you. Ayr United going really well there in League One, Ruffy. Ian McCall really has them going well at the top of the table. But it is all tight in there. Dunfermline tucked in behind them as well.
Yeah, but if you can win your away games. I mean, that's away against Dunfermline, 2-0, away against Airdrie. He must have some home games coming up, possibly back to back, and then he'll be hoping he can kick on from there. But certainly the confidence will be there. He's added a lot of players with experience. When we heard Barry Ferguson saying he'd bought players to get him out of that division, I think Ian McCall's done likewise. You know, he's identified players who know what it's like in that division.
It's interesting, Peter, looking at the results that, you know, there was only Cowdenbeath were the only team to get a home win in that league. The other 4 games were away wins. So it shows you that nobody's really worried or afraid to go and play away from home when 4 teams can actually go away from home and win.
Yeah, and you mentioned Barry Ferguson. I don't think Ian would have anticipated losing to East Fife. That was a setback for them in League 2, Gordon.
Yeah, definitely. I think that, you know, it was one of those, you know, East Fife are not that far behind it. And you've mentioned it as well, Peter. We talked about it on Saturday, that how close the lower divisions are in terms of there's hardly any points between them, and it's very hard to predict and look at scorelines. We know that. We found that out on Saturday for sure. But you look at it and say, you know, that everyone's capable of beating everybody else. There's no question of that. And as I say, that's one that Clyde were on a good little run, and it was a bit of a surprise that they lost. OK, let's look to the League Cup and get your thoughts on it, lads. We may as well try and predict what we think is going to happen, because there's certainly some interesting games. I was just trying to look. It could be Ibrox for me tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to Rangers against St Johnstone. But let's get your thoughts. Dundee United against Dunfermline could be a tricky one, lads. I mean, certainly the manner in which Dundee United conceded the equaliser, Ruffy, suggests that, you know, Jackie McNamara is still frustrated with the job he has to try and turn things around. Yeah, well, we're talking about Aberdeen getting into a game like this and resting a few players. I don't think Jackie can rest anybody. I think Jackie needs to put a full strength squad out there. He needs to get the supporters back on board. You could hear wee sort of murmurings when the final whistle went on Saturday. So this would be a competition that he'll be certainly looking at to win the game and have a good run and just get everybody back on board for the league game. Yeah, this is one he needs to win, Peter, I think, because, you know, it's all very well like losing a few games at home in the Premier League, and he's getting a bit of stick for that, but all of a sudden you play a team at home who are 2 divisions below, then the pressure's on you. You've got to get a result, and I agree with Ruffy. I think he'll play his best team and he'll be looking to get a win here, because if they don't, if Dunfermline were to knock Dundee United out, then it'll only increase the pressure that's on Jackie. OK, you guys going for Dundee United for the win? Yes. Yes. Yeah, OK then. Livingston Inverness, is there any upset there? Livingston rooted at the bottom of the table. Yeah, I've always said about this League Cup that there's always a shock somewhere. It's been, are you going for this one, Ruffy? No. But I'm nearly going for it because
I'm nearly, because there's other ones coming up after that. I think there are more chance of being a shock. But
Okay, I'll
but
mention it to you now.
Right, I'm going to hang on with Inverness there, but there's another couple coming up that will be a shock.
Hold on
the
a
point I'm making out here, this cup is shocks every year at these rounds. There's teams getting knocked out.
Well, people are looking right now and they're saying, I'm writing down what Ruffy's saying, I'm nearly going to go for them. Are you going for them?
I'm going for Inverness to win this one.
Right,
Well,
okay.
my definition of a shock is when you don't expect it to happen. That's
Yeah.
different. A shock is when it's not expected.
Morton Mallow.
That's a bit a tough game. I think Morton could get a win there.
That's my shock.
Well,
Hey,
eventually
not a shock,
That's my, no, I
It
think
won't be a shock
Motherwell.
if Motherwell. I don't think it'd be a shock if Morton won.
Okay, Rangers St Johnstone.
That's a tough one. I would say Rangers to win.
Is there replays in this?
Yeah.
I'm going for a replay.
Okay, I think it's a straight shootout. Ross County Falkirk.
Ross County for me.
Oh, tight one. Ross County just.
Oh, great. What a great time to pause. Celtic Wraith Rovers on the Wednesday. Hibs against Aberdeen. Killie Hearts. Any shocks there, Gordon, before we say goodnight?
I don't think so. No, I don't. I think that. I still think Hearts will beat Kilmarnock, even at Kilmarnock.
Celtic, Aberdeen and Hearts for you then?
Oh yeah.
Ruffy, you disagreeing with any of that?
Not at all.
Okay, so we eventually got there. We nearly didn't get there, but in the end, Ruffy was decisive in his opinion. At least I think that's what the case was. Join us if you can tomorrow on the programme. Dougie Imrie, the Hamilton Accies goal scorer from the weekend, will be our boot-room guest. But from Gordon Smith, from Alan Ruff, and from myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching. Join us at 6:30 on STV Edinburgh, STV Glasgow tomorrow.